A franchise better known perhaps to European gamers is Manfred Trenz's brainchild Turrican. Originally on Commodore 64, but ported to lots of different home computers and consoles, the game spawned several sequels as well, and is particularly memorable for its amazing soundtracks. The first Turrican game on the Game Boy was developed by the Code Monkeys, responsible for the Mega Drive and PC Engine versions as well. The lost colony of Alterra, not the one from the Aretha franchise I don't think, is a man-made life world abandoned long ago, which was created to house humanity after they presumably rendered original Terra inhospitable. Yeah, we'll do that. Anyway, these life worlds are bioengineered by a powerful ecosystem generation network known as Morgul. However, a cataclysmic quake severed all system interface functions, and Morgul murderously rebelled. The few colonists lucky enough to escape told a grim tale of a higher intelligence gone berserk. For generations, mankind sought a return to Alterra. Finally, genetic science created a savior, Turrican, a mutant warrior made for the task of planetary reclamation. As Turrican, you must eliminate the twisted Alterran lifeforms from all 5 worlds, and finally destroy the 3 faces of Morgul. It's a hell of a storyline, and the first 2 games played a huge part in cultivating my love for video games in the early 90s. I had them both on the Amiga home computer that inexplicably didn't catch on in the US. It was way more competent a system, and had an arguably stronger library than any home console of the time. Such vivid colours, awesome joystick-powered gameplay, and 2 of the greatest video game soundtracks ever made, especially Turrican 2: The Final Fight by Chris Hurlsbeck. However, we're not here to nostalgize about the Amiga, even though I could do that for days. We're here to see if the Game Boy port is any good. I'm strangely not so confident. It seems too big of an ask to put such a large project onto a system considerably less powerful than the computers it was originally intended for. The game is heavily weighted towards platforming, but you can rarely stop blasting away at stuff for a second. Turrican is always hard, always unforgiving. You jump with A and fire your current weapon with B. Scattered throughout the levels are collectibles that switch between the normal and laser weapons. Holding down B kicks out a lightning whip, which you can fire right the way around you indefinitely. It's pretty powerful actually, although you can't move while firing it. There are also 3 special weapons that you can use. Grenades can be shot out, destroying most enemies that it blasts through. You can also detonate them against a wall, which shakes the screen and wipes out anything that you can currently see. Press select once to choose them. Throwing a grenade reverts you back to the regular weapon. Pressing select twice and then the fire button sends 2 strong vertical waves of energy across the screen. These are best saved for boss battles. Press and hold down to plant a mine. These have a similar effect to the grenades by killing everything on screen. You can drop down into a morph ball-esque spiked ball, which makes you invulnerable and can plow through ground-based enemies. You can still fire your weapons in this buzzsaw mode. Usually you can only plant bombs, but it can only be used 3 times per life, which is weird as it's always been infinite on every other iteration. As well as the diamonds that you can accumulate for points, you'll find lots of power-ups. They're everywhere. If you see a large floating block that looks kind of out of place, shoot at it and it'll spew forth a ton of collectibles. P-blocks restore your whole energy bar. The diamond one is actually a very useful shield that surrounds you for 30 seconds or so. What looks like a waveform gives you the laser, and there's one that improves your basic weapon. You can replenish all your special weapons too, but what's most useful, and thankfully copious throughout, are 1-ups. It's not hard to die in this game, and you only get 3 continues, although you can exchange 400 diamonds for another one, so any extra lives are welcome. I was most apprehensive that the music in-game wouldn't be up to the same high standards, but actually my worry was misguided. The tunes are definitely recognisable from the first Turrican game, and done as well as they could have been on the Game Boy. Not a bad effort, but I would have held back on the sound effects because they override the music too much at times, leaving something not as audibly pleasing as it could be. On a few levels there's no music at all, which is conspicuous by its absence for sure. What does really impress though is the visuals. I was anticipating and ready to accept a really basic, slimline version of graphics, but everything is drawn really well actually. The backgrounds have the right atmosphere about them, and it's obvious what sprites are what, even though they're quite small. The screen wipes are excellent, and there are little animations such as the explosions and water splashes that are really cool. It's also impressive just how little flickering or slowdown there is, even when using the lightning whip that takes up a lot of animation frames. The user interface at the bottom probably didn't need to be as large as it is. At least a third of the screen is taken up with your timer, energy, and weapons. That's normal for Turrican, yes, but it wouldn't have hurt to go against tradition with the smaller screen. The most important factor for whether a port is successful, however, is whether or not the game feels right. Turrican needs to be brutal, relentless, and stressful, but also imaginative, responsive, and ever-changing. This version ticks all of those boxes for me. The game is huge, 10 levels all told, each one different from the last. There are lots of tricks and techniques to master, and you will need to, because this game is as goddamn hard as it should be. But it's always fair, and you absolutely cannot ask any more than that. Sure, it's not perfect, but the achievement of getting a game as complex as Turrican onto the Game Boy and have it be as good as this is frankly bloody astounding. Thanks so much for watching this video. Let me know your thoughts on the game down below, and if you can spare a second, give the review a quick thumbs up, it really helps out. Subscribe to the Portable Power Podcast for a new Game Boy review every day from Monday to Friday. Or alternately, new episodes of the podcast drop every Saturday and Sunday on whichever platform you get your pods. See you later on.